now invite the distinguished speakers of today's session on the dais. May I invite today's chairperson, Dr. R. Nagaratna Madam, Dr. Rama Jayasundar, and Professor Dr. Shantanu Bhattacharya ji. As we are all aware, the health science is shifting towards a new paradigm. A new paradigm always involves a clash of worldviews. Right from the time of Galileo, we have seen when the worldview was to be changed, was required to be changed, it faced a lot of opposition. And it took a lot of time. It took 100 years for people to believe that the earth is moving and the sun is stationary. Today, while the health is shifting towards new paradigm, it is again going to face the same challenges, added with the challenge of the pharma lobby. Let's not go into much details about that. We all know about it and how the pharma lobby, especially in the West, is so dominating that the new paradigm, especially the new paradigm of mind-body integration, is going to take quite some time to establish itself technically and commercially. But we, as the learned and educated top brass of the society, can and should do something about it so that it reaches the masses, and especially when the mind-body integration paradigm has a base of Indian spiritual knowledge in it. The new paradigm has, in my opinion, 3 points to be presented. First is, of course, the mind and body are one. So if the mind is treated, the body should be treated. If the mind is healthy, the body should be healthy. The second interesting point is, the mind uses the brain as an instrument. An interesting example here would be, when we play a song on a piano, it's obvious that without the piano. Similarly, no thought can be expressed without the brain. But at the same time, if we think little deeply, we will realize that piano is not the composer of the song. Piano is not R.D. Burman. In the same manner, brain is not the composer of the thought. It is the mind which thinks, and brain expresses what the mind thinks. The third point is, every cell of the body should be looked at as a miniature human being. Every cell has a memory, a nervous system, everything. Every cell is conscious. And in fact, we are a society of 50 or 100 trillions of cells, with we as the chairman. Interestingly, of course, the experts will throw a much better light on that. But the fact is, our skin cells are replaced every 6 weeks, liver cells every 2 months, and in that way, after 1 year, all our cells are replaced, and still we retain our identity as I am so and so. So that obviously means that we are not just cells. So our spirituality says that our mind, intellect, the memory, the mind field, and the ego, ahankara, these are the four antakaran chatushtya which impart the identity to us. So with this, let us start the session, and we have the distinguished speakers to throw light on their respective specialization areas. So I request Dr. Rama Jayasundar to start her presentation. I'll just give a brief about Dr. Rama. Dr. Rama holds a PhD in physics from University of Cambridge, UK. Her area of specialization is biomedical nuclear magnetic resonance. She has many publications and awards to her credit in this area. She has also developed a low-cost RF NHR coil indigenously for the first time in India. The cost of that coil is 2,000 rupees as against 15 lakhs from a regular company. Imagine 2,000 and 15 lakhs. After 13 years of being a researcher in this field of NMR, at the age of 41, she opted for a medical degree. And interestingly, though she had an admission for MBBS, she opted for BAMS. She opted for BAMS medical degree, which also required a 2+ course in biology. That also she did. And she took 5.5 years leave from her job and completed the course in 2008 in Ayurveda. And since then, she has shifted her focus of research to Ayurveda. I request Dr. Rama, to start her presentation.
So good morning everybody, and thank you for the kind introduction. So at the outset, I would like to thank the organizers and JNG for giving me this wonderful opportunity to reflect on this very interesting and important topic of whether there can be a meeting point between health and spirituality. Next slide. So we are at the time point. If you can just change it. Yeah. So we are at a time point where the most advanced scientific and technological advancements are being garnered to help the allopathic system of medicine. Different disciplines are researching and giving their helping hand to improve the healthcare system. So be it biomedical scientists or information technology or engineering or physics, chemistry, pharmacology, a whole lot of disciplines, and people are working towards improving the way the healthcare system is right now. Next one. Still, diseases are on the increase. Instead of decreasing in number, it's on the increase, and we are recruiting more and more days in a year to celebrate different diseases. So not only is there a day for celebrating cancer, and you have a day for breast cancer, you have a day for liver cancer, and so on. Diseases are no more belong to the old people. Now you have newborns and children with all kinds of problems. To add on to this, next one. To add on to this, the cost of the healthcare is also on the increase. Right. So this is a very paradoxical situation. And next one. So obviously there is some problem somewhere. Right? It's very obvious, because with the kind of information we have, such nuanced information down to the level of genes we have, and with the kind of technological support for treatment and diagnosis, the situation tells something else. So where is the problem? So to understand this, we need to try and understand how the allopathic system of medicine understands the human system and what is the basis of its diagnosis and treatment. Next one. Another click, 2 clicks please. Yes, if you can click. And another one, yes. So allopathy is basically, it is basically a disease care system. It's not a healthcare system. Okay, can you make out? Yeah. No, if you can just go back to the previous one, please. Yeah, so allopathy is basically a disease care system, and the allopathic doctors are trained to manage disease and not health. So this is one of the major problems that they are facing. Next one. So let's look at the fundamental philosophy of how allopathic system understands the human body and how it handles diseases. So if you see here, it has a structural understanding of the human system, and this is a direct fallout of how classical physics understands the universe. So there are many speakers yesterday who were talking about classical physics and quantum physics. So the hallmark of classical physics is that it looks at the entire universe as a physical entity made up of building block of atom. So the same understanding has been used for understanding the human system as well. So here you see that atom is a fundamental building block, indeed is the fundamental building block. And then you have atoms, the next level is molecules. So atoms make molecules, molecules make organelles, then you have cell, tissue, organ system. And then the entire organism is understood classified in terms of the various systems. You have the cardiovascular system, you have the endocrine system, you have the digestive system, and so on. So these are systems which has a particular function, and the organs which contribute to these functions are grouped under this category. For example, if you take cardiovascular system, the function is pumping of blood. So you have the organs which are part of this system is heart, lung, and the blood vessels. Now there is a very interesting, important point to be taken in this model, that it reduces the entire system, if not to the level of atom, definitely to the level of molecule. In fact, modern medicine is also called molecular medicine because it understands disease as derangement at the level of molecule, and the treatment is also given at that level. For example, you take diabetes. So they look for insulin molecule or glucose molecule, which are either glucose is increased and insulin is decreased. So these are molecules. So the diagnosis happens at the level of molecule, and the treatment is also at the same level. So this is the reason why modern medicine is called a reductionistic. It is said to have a reductionistic viewpoint because the entire the human organism, the system is reduced to the level of molecule. This is one way of handling complexity. So when you have a complex system, there are two ways to handle. One is a systems approach, which is what Ayurveda does. The option for that modern medicine has taken is to reduce it to the components and then handle the complex situation. Next one. Modern medicine also has a biochemical viewpoint, but it still uses the same structural hierarchical model, except that at each level of the structural hierarchy, they talk about biochemistry. So you have a molecular biochemistry, cellular biochemistry, tissue biochemistry, and so on. Next one. So if you look at the diagnosis, way diagnosis is done in allopathy, the investigation happens at the lowest possible level, which is at the level of molecule or at the gene, and the malfunctioning component is identified, and you can see that there is a methodological reductionism which predominates not only in diagnosis, next one, but also in treatment. The treatment is rectifying the structure because it understands the human system as a mechanical system, and although there are attempts now to understand mind and consciousness, the way modern medicine is practiced right at the moment is using the mechanistic approach. The treatment involves rectifying the structures or replacing the structures or supplementing the deficiencies. For example, if insulin is not there, then supplementation with insulin is given. Next one. And chemical manipulation plays a major role. So in fact, Dr. Salk, who invented the polio vaccine. So he says that my ambition was to bring to bear on medicine a chemical approach. I did that by chemical manipulation of viruses and chemical ways of thinking in biomedical research. So this chemical manipulation is one of the hallmark of treatment in allopathy. Next one. So the perspective of the allopathic system of medicine is structural reductionism, be it in understanding how the human system works, or in diagnosis, or in treatment. There is nothing right or wrong about this. It's just that this is the approach that it has adopted. Next one. So in this structural model that allopathy has adopted, there is no role for mind. There is a clear body-mind disconnect, because you see this body-mind disconnect even in classical physics. This connect happens only in quantum physics, and as of now, although there are attempts in the West to integrate concepts of quantum mechanics and quantum physics in biology, the fact of the matter is it still is following classical physics. So there is a body-mind disconnect in this model. Next one. And the hallmark, what is important in modern science and allopathy is that what is measured is managed. So it's easy for them to manage what is measured. So measurements, objective measurements play an important role be it in diagnosis or treatment. Next one. There is a lot of interest in understanding mind, what it is, but still measurements are needed for it. And they are looking at mind and thoughts as being, the contributing factors being the wiring in the system and also the neurochemicals and neurotransmitters. Next one. So mind is also, they are trying to, as I said, measure it, understand it using measurements, objective measurements. Next one. Next, yeah. This said, there is increasing interest in health, because as I said, the diseases are on the increase, the healthcare cost is also on the rise. So now they are going back to the basic question as to what is health. Obviously, you can't understand a healthy system through disease process, which is what they have been trying to do. So there are fundamental questions being asked. And these are definitions given by WHO, World Health Organization. The earlier definition of health was absence of disease. They have come a long way, and the recent definition reads, health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So this is the more recent definition of health, and you can note that there is an inclusion of mental here, but still not consciousness. Next one. Yeah, if you can do one click. Can you click? No. Yeah, another one. Another one. Another one. Yeah, please hold here. So there are a number of questions they are asking in trying to understand health. They are talking about physical health. They are talking about physiological health. They are also talking about psychological health, and there is a very small group of scientists who have begun to talk about spiritual health. That said, there is spirituality is always associated or linked to religion in Western thinking. Next one. The word spirituality is derived from the Latin word spiritus, meaning wind, breath of life, soul, etc. Although there is no religious connotation in this, as I said, there is somehow a link between religion and spirituality, which is understood, which is the way it's understood in modern medicine. Next one. So there is a handshake possible? Is a handshake possible between Western medicine and spirituality? So this is a big question which is being debated hotly. Next one. And whether it's necessary, that's the other question. So while they debate this, and there is quite some distance they have to travel to be able to answer this, let's look at next one. Let's look at Ayurveda, which is our own indigenous system of medicine. Next one, Ayurveda is made up of two words, Ayu and Veda. Put together it means science of life. And here you see a difference between allopathic system and Ayurveda, because allopathy is a system, science of disease, and Ayurveda is a science of life. And it handles both health and disease. It is preventive, promotive and curative. Next one, the definition for health says it's swasthasya swasthya rakshanam. That is the first aim of Ayurveda, maintain the health of a healthy individual. And aturasya vikara prasannancha. So cure of diseases of a patient. It is generally presumed that Ayurveda is strong in prevention and not so much in treatment, which is not right. It is as strong in treating diseases and curing diseases as it is in prevention of disease. Next one. The definition of health is samadosha samagnischa samadhatu malakriyaha prasannatma indriya manaha swastha iti abhidiyate. So this is the definition. Translated, it says health is a complete balance of functioning of dosha, tissues, the metabolic processes, elimination of the end products, atma, senses and mind. So you see the inclusion of the word atma here, and implied in this is that absence of disease alone is not health. Next one. So this is a very comprehensive definition of health, and you can see the similarity between the recent definition given of health given by WHO and that of Ayurveda, which was coined more than 5,000 years ago. And although the definition given by WHO, you still there is the consciousness aspect of it is still missing in it. I am sure they will include it a few years down the line. Next slide. So Ayurveda is much more than a science of understanding disease. It's a science of not only the physical body but that of consciousness as well. Next one. So let's see how Ayurveda understands the human system. It's a science, in fact, of using health as a basis of one's journey towards enlightenment. So Ayurveda says that anybody who is interested in dharma, artha, kama, moksha should keep themselves healthy. So whether even if it's earning a livelihood, amassing material health, artha, kama, whether you want to enjoy life, or moksha, whether you want to seek spiritual enlightenment, all of these have to be done in a dharmic way, and for which you need a healthy body. So Ayurveda, as a science, it helps a person to be healthy. Next one. Ayurveda and yoga are two sides of a coin. Same coin, just like you can't separate physics and chemistry, you can't separate Ayurveda and yoga. Ayurveda helps to be healthy so that one can pursue spiritual goals using yoga. Next one. So this is the logo of my institute, and interestingly you see at the bottom, Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. So this is part of the logo of AIMS. So it says that body is an instrument for a dharmic way of life. Whether it is earning money, earning livelihood, or in enjoying the pleasures of life, or in seeking spiritual enlightenment, body is an instrument for it. And body is soul's vehicle to achieve any of this. Next one. So let's see how Ayurveda understands the human system. It has classified human body into physical and subtle. There are three different classifications for the physical body. One is based on structures. These are called dhatu. This is a hierarchical model, just like something similar to the hierarchical structural model of modern medicine. It also has a system-wise classification. This is called srotas in Ayurveda. And there is also a functional classification. These are the tridosha. I will talk about this a bit more in detail. And the subtle aspect of the body is understood in terms of levels of consciousness, levels of awareness. Next one. Another one. And another one. Thank you. So the first two classifications, the structure and the system-based classification, it deals with the physical body. And the functional classification deals with physiological and psychological domain, and the levels of awareness deals with psychological and conscious domain. Next one. So if we put put together all of these, this is how Ayurveda understands the human system. So it talks about 4 domains: a structural domain, a physiological domain, a psychological domain, and a conscious domain. And you can see that all of these domains are individually networked within itself. It's interconnected within itself. And interestingly, it also has an area of overlap. So I will go through each of these domains separately. Next one. So if you look at the structural domain, next one, the entire physical structure is networked through what are called srotas or channels. These channels can be in the form of blood vessels or the nerves which connects the entire system. Next one. Or even channels. You can see the lower part of the figure here. It shows a cell wall where you can see the molecules or ions moving in and out. So that is also a srotas. It's a subtle srotas. It's a channel. So the entire physical structure, or it is networked within itself using srotas. Next one. So let's look at the physiological domain, how the networking is, how it's networked. Next one. So it is networked based on Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Let me explain this. Next one. So Ayurveda has a predominantly functional perspective. Next one. And I'm sure you all appreciate the fact that there are many contributing factors for a function. So structures are important for functions to manifest, and biochemistry, the biochemicals have to be the right one, and there are a number of parameters. Some of them I have mentioned here, some of them are not listed here. All of these put together contribute to a function. So a functional perspective is going to be a very different perspective to understand the human system, and it's also going to be a very inclusive perspective. Very interestingly, you see structures and biochemistry, which forms the basis of understanding in allopathy. They are factored into functions. Next one. So just as modern medicine has classified the human system based on structures, Ayurveda has classified the human system based on functions. It has identified 3 major functions: movement, metabolism, and growth. And these are referred as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Next one. Next one. Yeah, if you can click. One more. One more. Yeah. So you can see that the psychophysiological functions are classified as under Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So the psychological domain is inbuilt into this classification of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and you can see that each one of them are actually sub-classified into 5 types. So between these 15 sub-classifications of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, all the psychophysiological functions are explained. Next one. So, if Vata, Pitta, Kapha refer only to the functions, then Ayurveda would not be a successful or clinically successful system. What makes it very successful is that it also includes a set of parameters which are physical, chemical, and physiological in nature, which contributes to this function. Next one. So, for example, Ayurveda talks about parameters like dryness, fluidity, size, weight, viscosity, coarseness, roughness, and these are parameters which when affected will affect these functions. For example, if dryness increases, it's going to affect movement, and it will also affect metabolism. Imagine if the fluidity, if the blood doesn't flow properly, if the blood thickens, so the tissues and the cells are not going to get the energy for metabolism. So these are parameters which are biophysical in nature, physico-chemical in nature, and physiological in nature, which impact these 3 identified functions. Next one. So these functions are these properties, what I prefer to call system properties, are interconnected with each other, intra and interconnected with each other. So V1 to V7 represent parameters which comes under Vata, and P1 to P7 under Pitta, and K1 to K7 under Kapha. You see that these are all connected with each other. These are not theoretical connections, these are connections which are mentioned in Ayurveda and which any practicing Ayurvedic physician will know. And next one. So you see that the physiological domain is understood as a networked entity, and when this network is in balance, it denotes health, and when it is disturbed, it denotes disease. So Ayurvedic doctor tries to bring the system back to balance. Next one. And what is interesting is all factors which play a role in health and disease is brought onto the same language and platform of Vata Pitta Kapha. Vata Pitta Kapha is a common language for be it plants or animals or food ingredients or seasons or clinical symptoms. I'm sorry, I will not have time to go into the details of this, but all these are classified in terms of Vata Pitta Kapha. So when a disease is, when the clinical symptoms denote that it's either Vata, Pitta or Kapha or a combination of these is gone out of balance. So let's say that a disease is a Vata disease. So plants, medicines to reduce Vata will be prescribed. Activities which will reduce Vata will be advised, and diet which reduces Vata will be advised. Anything which increases Vata will have to be avoided. So this is how Ayurvedic diagnosis and treatment is given. Next one. So you see the fundamentally different conceptual framework for allopathy and Ayurveda. One is reductionistic, trying to understand the system at the level of molecule. The other one uses system properties which are networked to understand how the system functions. Next one. So that is how the physiological domain is understood as a network. Let's quickly go on to the psychological domain. Next one. So the parameters which are used in this domain is Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, and I am sure you all are familiar with these three terms. Next one, these denote, just like Vata, Pitta and Kapha are called Tridosha, this is called Triguna, and this refers to states of mind, nature of mind. Next one. For example, if you take Sattva, it refers to clarity and purity. The best way to understand this is a lake which is very still, which is very calm, there are no ripples in it, and you can see in the picture on the right, you can see a reflection of this beautiful snow-capped mountain. So this represents a state of Sattva, a clarity and purity. Next one. So it reflects the natural, innate connection between ourselves and the Supreme. And the most virtuous qualities manifest in this state of Sattva. Next one. So Rajas is a state of activity and distraction. This is like a lake where you throw a stone and you can see the ripples. Next one. Each ripple can be understood, imagine like a emotion. So this gets, a person gets caught in emotions, and they develop attachment and emotions. It makes us forget our true nature. Next one. Tamas is refers to a state of darkness and inertia. So this is like a water which is stirred up and muddied. Next one. So this it makes us unaware of our connection with the Supreme. It's harmful to ourselves and to others. The darker nature becomes dominant, and violence and vindictiveness can be very easily provoked in a tamasic state. Next one. So these three are interconnected parameters in the psychological domain. Next one. If you can go back to the previous one. Okay, go to the next one. So in fact, Ayurveda also talks about 16 sub-classification of Prakriti, Manasika Prakriti. You can see that Sattvika Prakriti is sub-classified into 7, Rajasika into 6 and Tamasika into 3. These are information which is used both in diagnosis and treatment by Ayurvedic doctors. Next one. Another click, please. So Ayurveda very categorically says that Rajas and Tamas, they cause disease. They cause imbalance in emotion, and mind plays an important role in causation of disease. Ayurveda never delinks mind and body. Mind and body is always considered as one cohesive unit, be it in understanding a health situation or in understanding disease process or in diagnosis or in treatment. Next one. So let's go to the fourth domain that Ayurveda talks about, the consciousness. Next one. So here they talk about the Panchakoshas, which is explained in more detail in yoga. Next one. So this is a hierarchical level of awareness. This is where we have hierarchy, not so much in the structural domain, in the physiological domain. So they talk about Annamaya Kosha. Then you have, going to subtlest levels, we have Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya Kosha. Next one. So here you go from gross, that is from the gross physical body to the subtle Anandamaya Kosha, and from there you can connect with the cosmic reality. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it cosmic consciousness, you can call it supreme consciousness, you can call it intelligence, you can call it Brahman, you can call it God. But it's a cosmic it's reality to which we can connect through these Panchakoshas. Next one. Another click. So Ayurveda handles till the level of Manomaya Kosha. The Ayurvedic treatment acts up to this level, and beyond that is yoga handles, and also non-pharmacological parameters or concepts like chanting of mantra can handle the other levels. Next one. So Charaka Samhita says that awareness of oneself is a necessity for health. So it defines swastha as a healthy situation as sva tishtati iti swastaha. It means one who is established in oneself. So lack of awareness can lead to impaired knowledge, which Ayurveda points out is a causative factor for diseases. Next one. So Ayurveda goes on to say that a mere possession of mental faculties and knowledge will not lead to one's well-being unless accompanied with right values and thinking to sustain harmony within and without. So this is something that Ayurveda emphasizes very strongly. Next one. So Ayurveda says that any change in perception that takes place in Vijnanamaya Kosha, in Buddhi, is reflected in the body and physiology. Training the intellect is as important as a proper diet and lifestyle regimen. So regimens which influence Buddhi, for example, this is where chanting of mantras and counseling comes, and yoga as well, is considered as important as diet and behavioral routines. It helps to bring mind under control, so one does not make errors in judgment and action. Errors in judgment and action can affect physiology, and physiology can affect the physical body and cause disease. Next one. So going back to this figure, you see how the big difference between modern medicine and Ayurveda. Ayurveda looks at the entire human system as networked, and there are 4 domains, as I said, they talk about, and you can see that there are also areas of overlap. So you can see that structural and physiological domain is connected with these parameters of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. The physiological and the psychological domain is again connected with Vata, Pitta and Kapha. The psychological and conscious domain is connected by Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And most interestingly, the conscious domain or levels of awareness is connected to the physical body through the first level of awareness, which is the Annamaya Kosha. So the whole body is a networked entity. Next one. So Ayurveda connects body with consciousness and physiology to consciousness, and modern medicine connects physiology to structures. Next one. Next one. So Ayurveda emphasizes and talks about connectedness within oneself, with the cosmic reality, with others, with our environment as well. Not only does it talk about it in a theoretical manner, but it also offers solutions as to how to handle these when there is a problem in the system. Next one. So the connectedness that Ayurveda talks about connects the physical body to the subtlest level of awareness, to the spiritual domain, and it extends beyond individual as well. It reaches out into the universe. Next one. So Ayurveda is a practical method helping one to live in harmony with oneself, earth, and the cosmos. This is the beauty of Ayurveda, that it not only is a theoretical discussion of these, but it also gives practical solution as to how to handle this highly complex system. Next one. Next one. Another click. Another click. So MS stands for modern science, and if you look at the levels of organization, the modern science as a bottom-up approach, where we are all considered as physical entities made up of atoms, and so atoms, there is, as I have already mentioned, there is a hierarchical structured organization which makes the physical entity, and then you have a population. And then next level is community, and then you have the ecosystem. Now Ayurveda is a top-down approach, so the cosmic consciousness takes a form as Anandamaya Kosha. Then from Anandamaya Kosha you have the Vijnanamaya, Manas, Prana, Anna, Srotas, then the physical body, then you have all the other entities. So we are spiritual entities who have taken a material form. This is the viewpoint of Veda, Sankhya, and Ayurveda as well. Whereas in modern medicine, we are physical entities with consciousness. So there is a big difference in the approach. Next one. So one is a bottom-up approach where life is understood as organized from the level of atom. Next one. The other is top-down. Next one. Yeah. So where we are derived from cosmic reality. Next one. So Ayurveda helps in ascent of matter back into consciousness. We have come from consciousness, we have to go back to consciousness, and Ayurveda and yoga helps in this. Next one. So you see that there are two different allopathy and Ayurveda is a entirely different approach. Different heights give different viewpoints and different understanding, leading to different understanding. So Ayurveda, I'm winding down. So Ayurveda has the entire system. It captures the essence of the entire system, including consciousness. So as you can see in the left side, and so this is a picture of landscape of the entire forest. And here you see a microscopic structure of a leaf from one of the tree here, and so that is the approach of Western medicine. Next one. Next one. So, yeah, if you can give a click. So, I am sure you all are familiar with this. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha. So it says that let everyone be happy, become healthy and free from disease, and lead a glorious life. Let no one live in sorrow. This can only come from a sattvic mind, and Ayurveda does not believe in making business out of people's health and disease. And this is something that we need to talk about. We need to have in mind when we talk about mainstreaming Ayurveda and kind of taking it forward. Next one. So I thank you all very much for the patient hearing, and I thank the organizers once again for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk and think about this very important topic, very relevant topic of spirituality and health. Thank you.
Indeed, Ramaji, it was an excellent, wonderful presentation and enlightening us of the journey of molecular biology to, I would say, quantum biology, and the different perspectives of modern science and Ayurveda. We are going to take some time for connecting the cable which Nagaratna Madam has requested. Talking about quantum biology, again, there is an interesting fact which has been presented also in equally interesting manner. It says that life is a quantum movie. What do we mean by life is a quantum movie? We all know a snail The visual span of a snail is 3 seconds. That means that if there is an apple placed in front of a snail and I take it out within a span of 1 second, and then the snail will not see my hand. It will only see the apple and it will see that the apple has disappeared. Within 1 second, if I take out that apple, it will not see my hand. If I place my hand for 4 seconds, then it will see my hand and it will see that the hand has taken that apple. Similarly, when we watch a movie has 24 still pictures passing by in 1 second. So that is again passing our visual span, and that is how we see a continuity in the pictures, and that is how we perceive it as a movie. And when we say life is a quantum movie, all of us, yesterday we talked about the ontology and the limitations of axiomatic ontology. When we come down from atoms to quarks, finally to energy, we stop there, and then quantum physics says it's all possibilities. Everything is a conglomerate of possibilities, and every moment the collapse is occurring and the possibilities are actualizing into the material. This is happening millions times per second. Every moment we are coming into existence and again disappearing on the world stage millions of times, and this is way far ahead than compared to our visual span and the span of perception. And that is why, in a way, we are only perceiving 50% of the reality. Every moment we appear and we disappear, we are there, we are not there, millions of times, and we are only perceiving what we can see. So this way, life is a quantum movie. Yeah, most welcome.
Holistic medicine and quantum activism, Mr. Dr. Amit Goswami and Deepak Chopra and बहुत सारे सारे लोग जो है ये होलिस्टिक मेडिसिन की बात करते हैं, लेकिन उसका आयुर्वेद से और एलोपैथी से क्या रिलेशन है? ये बहुत वर्ल्ड में बहुत चल रहा है.
It's a very good question. See, when you have a complex system, there's more than one way of looking at it. So if you take a mathematical problem, there's more than one solution, right? And I think we should leave it at that. Allopathy, as I said, it has a different approach to the system because it's the entire philosophy of Western science is reductionism. And using this, there's nothing right or wrong about it. Using this, it has done, there are wonderful advancements which has been made, and the modern medical system has, and the patients have benefited tremendously. But it also has limitations. And there are, now they are talking about systems biology. Now they are beginning to realize that no more are individual genes and proteins and metabolites mean anything, right? What's important is how these interact with each other. So you can have a defective gene, but it does not need to cause a disease. So the genes, nothing is remaining in isolation in our system. Everything is interacting with each other, and this interaction actually defines the emergent property, the function, what happened, the health of the system. So they are talking about systems biology at the level of cell though. So you have this, you may have heard of these genomes and proteomes and metabolome. They are all talking about how these interact at a cellular level. Now Ayurveda is a systems approach at the level of the entire organism. I have absolutely no doubt that modern medicine will also come to that one time. But it has got a long way to go. Because it's still rooted in the mechanical understanding, because they are still talking about structural entities which are interacting with each other. Now what Ayurveda talks about is the properties which interact with each other. So what happens when dryness changes? right? There could be molecular mechanisms underlying dryness. There could be molecular mechanisms underlying temperature, right? But they are not. So when you have a complex system, you have to decide at what level, which level is the intelligent level to be able to handle. One thing is getting information. The other thing is, in a medical science, what is important is whether you can cure a patient, whether you can cure a disease. And so for this, which level of understanding is important? This is something which Ayurveda seems to have hit. But it's difficult to understand how they have done it, right? So, there is this talk of even integrative medicine. It gets me very worried, because where and how do you integrate Ayurveda with allopathy? I mean, physics is physics, chemistry is chemistry. You can't explain somebody to explain physics in terms of chemistry and vice versa. Each has got its own focus and understanding. And but you can use them together, right, in an intelligent way. So I don't see how these two can be brought together. That's one thing. The other thing is that, I mean, it is good. It sounds very scientific to talk about quantum physics and health. I mean, I myself a physicist, and I have written an article called Quantum Logic in Ayurveda. But then what we should also have in mind is quantum physics deals with subatomic particles, right? It's a very exclusive area of physics, right? But we are talking about physical entities, at a pragmatic level. So when a patient is a patient, right? How do you handle the situation? So if you want to look at Ayurveda at a pragmatic level of handling health and disease, you need to look at the macroscopic level. Now at a macroscopic level, how do you apply quantum concepts? Probably the only quantum concept which is relevant at a macroscopic level is the interconnectivity. So quantum physics says that everything in the universe is interconnected. And this is exactly what Ayurveda says. And when I say Ayurveda says, it also means that's what the Veda says. Because Ayurveda has taken its root from Vedas and from Sankhya philosophy and so on. So this interconnectedness plays a major role in understanding health in Ayurveda. So that probably is the only way where you can see a link between quantum concepts and Ayurveda.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. I wish we could have had many more such question-answer sessions. In fact, each of the speakers deserves to be called for a full-day workshop, but every time, in every conference this happens and we run quite short of time. I now request Dr. Nagaratna madam to take on the presentation. I hope we are done with the cabling. Dr. R. Nagaratna, an MBBS, MD and FRCP. She is the Dean, Division of Yoga and Life Sciences at Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Samstha, the Yoga University, Bangalore. This Yoga University combines her medical knowledge with her deep knowledge and experience of yoga as the Chief Yoga Therapy Consultant of the 250-bed residential yoga therapy health home at Vyasa, Prashanti Kutiram, Bangalore. She has established yoga therapy protocols for asthma, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, digestive problems, and cancer. She has, to her credit, numerous clinical publications on yoga therapy and more than 80 research papers on medical application of yoga. A recognized guide for PhD in yoga and allied sciences in Bangalore University. She owns a number of awards like Vidya Varenya Woman of Excellence, Dr. P.S. Shankar Vaidya Patanjali Award, Karnataka Kalpavalli Award, and many more. I now request respected Dr. Nagaratna Madam to start her presentation.
Thank you. Namaste. Good morning to all of you. Good morning. How's your say? Shall we start with an Om, please? बहुत सारे यंग लोगों को देख रही हूँ. सबसे ज़्यादा लंबा ओम किनका सुनेगा उनको एक क्लैप मिलेगा. Take a deep breath, start chanting Om. यहाँ किसी का था, कौन? ओके, आपका शुभ नाम? ओके, दोनों के लिए. Friends, it's a great pleasure to be in the capital of Madhya Pradesh. Welcome to all of you. I begin with welcoming all of you to our campus Prashanti Kutiram, which is a beautiful campus of 120 acres where we house the Yoga University. आप सब लोग इसको देख लिया ऑलरेडी. रमा जी ने बहुत सुंदर ढंग से हेल्थ का डेफिनेशन बताया है. This component of spiritual health also got incorporated in World Health Definition with a big discussion. But anyway, there are some websites of WHO which have included spiritual health, but if you go to the general website, they are still not yet included. Because we still don't know the definitions of spiritual health, we still don't know how to define spiritual health, we still don't know what are the measures of spiritual health. As she has beautifully pointed out, we have come a long way where we have moved with great understandings through modern science, जिसके दौरान हमने बहुत सारे कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेस के ऊपर संतुलन ला चुके हैं और आगे बढ़ते हुए हमारे मेजर टुडेज प्रॉब्लम्स आर ऑल लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेस, नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेस, स्ट्रेस रिलेटेड डिजीजेस, mind body diseases are all the words that are becoming very popular today, and we have reached a state that this has become a major challenge, किसके द्वारा हमारा पूरा concentration इसके ओर जाना चाहिए. It's very clearly established that diabetes has become an epidemic, much worse than a smallpox epidemics or any other epidemics that we had seen. So lifestyle के बारे में बहुत सालों से रिसर्च करते हुए यहाँ तक हमने पहुँचे हैं कि what are the 4 major components in lifestyle: diet, lack of sedentary lifestyle with lack of physical activity, bad habits and mental emotional tension. ये चारों के पीछे ये कॉमन फैक्टर हमको दिख ही रहा है ना. See, all people now, even children know what is junk food. परंतु हम क्यों कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे हैं? मन के कारण. फिजिकल एक्टिविटी इज वेरी नेसेसरी, परंतु मन के कारण. बैड हैबिट्स, ड्रिंकिंग, स्मोकिंग तो मन ही मन, टेंशन तो मन ही मन. So can we call all these diseases having its root in mind? माइंड ही मूल कारण है आजकल का NCDs के लिए, कॉमन लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेस के लिए. इसके बारे में हमने सुन ही रहे हैं. आगे बढ़ते हुए मन में कौन सा अंश है कि which has become such a big culprit? मन ही बीमारी का कारण है NCDs में विशेष करके. और उसमें से कौन सा एस्पेक्ट ऑफ मन डेंजरस है? टेंशन, स्ट्रेस बोलते हैं आजकल का लाइफस्टाइल में. सो स्ट्रेस क्या होता है? स्ट्रेस इज नथिंग बट ऑल आवर इमोशंस. सो ऑल आवर इमोशंस कैन बी क्लासिफाइड अंडर पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव इमोशंस. इवन पॉजिटिव इमोशंस कुड बी वेरी वायलेंट. सो अंडर पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव इमोशंस वी फर्दर क्लासिफाई देम इनटू violent emotions and soft emotions. Most of the distressful, disturbing, disease-causing emotions can all be violent negative emotions which persist over a long period of time. Right from Freudian time we have been talking about suppressed emotions which can cause many of the psychosomatic problems. So our sages classified all violent negative emotions under these 6 enemies: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. And as Ramaji was beautifully explaining, we know the connection between these emotions at the mind level and at the physical level as biochemical changes. And what is very, very important that we communicate to each and every participant who come to us for therapy at Vyasa is this concept of stress. When I talk to all my participants, we take the history, we talk about their illnesses, make a big note of all the conditions they have, and finally we take a very detailed history of their stress factors. So when we ask them what are all the stresses you are going through, they may give a big list. Okay, office is my problem, family, interpersonal relationship problem, or financial calamities, etc., etc. And what they understand as the first lesson when we try to make them understand is in the definition of stress is this. If I give you an example, I had one patient who stopped his insulin, 100 units per day he was taking for 4 years, and he comes to Prashanti with diabetes, and he says, I have understood a lot about lifestyle. I've been following my diet, I've been following my weight reduction program, I've never even 1 kg overweight, I take a very healthy food, and I don't take any non-vegetarian at all, no drinking, no smoking obviously, but I've got lots and lots of national and international and political responsibilities. Therefore मेरा stress के ऊपर संतुलन लाना बहुत मुश्किल है. Therefore my doctors are advising you have no choice, your insulin is gone out of stock, therefore you have to replace your insulin. But he comes here and he stops his insulin. Now it is 4th, 5th year running, no insulin, and even the half tablet of metformin he was taking is about to stop. I asked him, what is it that made all the difference for you? You knew all about lifestyle, you knew all about the diseases, about your management through lifestyle change, but what is it that you learned here in this yoga therapy unit? He says, it's just this slide that made all the difference. What is it in this slide that made all the difference? Please explain yourself, I asked him. He says, see madam, I thought stress means there are very many demanding situations where I have to work in that stressfully demanding situation. But just this clarity that stress by definition is not the situation, but it is the way I react to situations. Therefore, I have to change myself. I can change myself. I shall change myself. For that, I have learnt all these asana, pranayama, meditation, relaxation techniques, etc. Made me recognize that I have to really, I can work with myself. And knowing that, he started working with himself, and he actually practically explains this to me. See madam, I am traveling in my car in Delhi. मुझे फ़ोन आएगा न्यूयॉर्क होटल का बिजनेस में बहुत बड़ा डिप हो रहा है, बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है करके मैं सोचने लगूँगा, अरे क्या होगा क्या होगा क्या होगा. तुरंत मेरा मन अभी इतना ट्रेनिंग हो गया है इस विचार को अपनाते 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 मेरा मन में मैं सोचूंगा, देखूंगा, मेरा मन का अंतर्दृष्टि से देखने से मुझे समझ में आएगा, अरे देखो मन में क्या हो रहा है, तनाव, क्या होगा क्या होगा क्या होगा क्या होगा, माय गॉड, इतना बड़ा प्रॉब्लम, इतना बड़ा फॉल, इतना बड़ा टेंशन, क्या होगा क्या होगा क्या होगा, इसी में मैं फंस जाता हूँ. दिस इज द रिएक्शन. तुरंत वो रिएक्शन को मैं टालना सीख चुका हूँ. तुरंत मैं अपने आप को समझाऊंगा, सॉरी माय डियर माइंड, माय डियर मंकी माइंड, मुझे इसमें डुबाओगे नहीं. मैं उसको स्लो डाउन करते हुए, प्रशमन करते हुए, स्लो डाउन करते हुए उस अनावश्यक विचार तरंगों को स्विच ऑफ कर लूँगा. बाद में जो करना था पहले भी करता था, अभी कर रहा हूँ, परंतु वो जो इंटरिम पीरियड में वो टेंशन वाला जो विचार तरंगों में मैं डूब रहा था अनावश्यक, उसको स्विच ऑफ करना सीख चुका हूँ। तो तुरंत व्हाट आई डू, मैं लंबा सांस लेता हूँ, एक ओम बोलता हूँ, हे राम तुम देख लोगे करके सरेंडर कर लूँगा। 3 मेथड यूज़ कर लिया, देखिए, राजयोगा यूज़ कर लिया, ज्ञान योगा यूज़ कर लिया, भक्ति योगा भी यूज़ कर लिया उन्होंने। कुछ करते हुए अपने आप को वो अनावश्यक, अनएक्सपेक्टेड, अनकंट्रोल्ड, वायलेंट रिपीटिशन ऑफ विचार तरंगों से अपने आप को छुटकारा ले लिया। बाद में जो करना था कर लिया। तो this is the whole of the understanding that we are getting stuck in. Can you believe this? Just one person recognizing this and using these techniques, he is able to completely stop his insulin, completely stop his medication, lives a very, very healthy life, continues in his profession with utmost efficiency. This is exactly what Krishna is asking us to do. And this is the whole of the understanding that our mind is getting stuck in an imbalance because of it constant activity, stimulation, speed. And this speed has to be tackled by understanding these wonderful concepts from the Upanishads, where we talk about this Panchakosha concept about which you have heard, and this concept of speed, which is the most violent repetition of sentences in the mind, could be that powerful that it can create all the neurochemical, endocrino, physical damage to the tissues. यहाँ तक उतना पावर है हमारा मन में। वो मन का पावर देख लिए। मन इज द मन एव मनुष्याणां कारणं बंध मोक्षयोः, ये भी हम पढ़ते हैं, सुनते हैं, परंतु उसको कैसा हैंडल करें, उसका टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, उसको हम आगे बढ़ते हुए कैसा अपने आप को समझें, ये सभी हम करते करते ये सोल्यूशन क्या है, वो इमोशन के ऊपर संतुलन लाना। उसके दौरान पूरा रिवर्सल, ब्यूटिफुली डॉक्टर रमा हैज शोन द रिवर्सिबिलिटी model according to Ayurveda. Therefore, this is the one single word that I ask all my participants to hang on to. Prashamana, prashamana, prashamana. Slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. Calming down. Giving very deep rest to the nervous system. Giving very deep rest to the breathing system. Giving deep, conscious, wakeful, internal awareness and rest to the each and every cell in the body, much more so in the part of the body कहाँ बीमारी फंस गया है, कैसा फंस गया है, क्यों फंस गया है, क्या फंस गया है, इसका ब्यूटीफुल एक्सपेंशन हमको वाता पित्ता कफा और स्रोत सामा इसके द्वारा हमको समझ में आ रहा है। This is the grandeur of Ayurveda, which makes us understand जो वेग दिमाग से शुरू होते हुए शरीर पर कैसा फंसेगा, कैसा स्ट्रक्चरल डैमेज कॉज करेगा, कैसा टिश्यूज को डैमेज करेगा। योग के दृष्टि से सभी वेग है, मन का वेग, सांस का वेग, इंटेस्टाइन का वेग, डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम का वेग, फाइटिंग का वेग, इन्फ्लेमेशन वेग, वेग ही वेग। हाँ, सारा लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेस का एक ही कॉमन कारण हम अभी देख रहे हैं टिश्यू लेवल में, वो क्या है, इन्फ्लेमेशन, इन्फ्लेमेशन, इन्फ्लेमेशन। इन्फ्लेमेशन क्या है, वायलेंस, फाइटिंग। कहाँ है फाइटिंग, टिश्यूज में, स्ट्रक्चर में, अन्नमय कोश में। उसका पीछे क्या है, मन का वेग। मन इतना पावरफुल है। तो therefore getting mastery over the mind is the definition of yoga, and the entire process we teach our participants is to tell them how to change their responses and go into very deep restful state. And therefore the major component of yoga program should be how much deep conscious wakeful rest we can give to our mind body complex and reach that state of balance which was beautifully brought out in the previous talk. So therefore we use this integrated program, a healthy diet, kriyas, asanas, pranayama, dharana, dhyana, devotional sessions, understanding their own imbalances in stress counseling करते हैं और उनका मुक्ति योगा कर्म योगा कॉन्सेप्ट्स यूज़ करते हुए उनको आगे बढ़ाते हैं। तो ये सभी हम देखते देखते इसका एप्लीकेशंस क्या है इसके बारे में आपने बहुत सुन रहे हैं, देख रहे हैं, कर ही रहे हैं, परंतु आगे बढ़ते हुए इसका इफेक्ट शरीर पर कितना हम देख सकते हैं उसके बारे में मैं कुछ डेटा दिखाना चाहती हूँ। Research at Vyasa, we have been working on this for the last few years, where we help people to go from the animal level to the highest level of consciousness. So we have several laboratories. We have all the deans of our institution here who have been helping us to move on in this area, and we have several laboratories which are all working on understanding the structural abnormality and how each one of these abnormality gets corrected when somebody does yoga. So using these several laboratories, thanks to Karnataka government which gave us a beautiful state-of-the-art laboratory of neurophysiological, autonomic, sleep laboratory, biochemical laboratory, genes laboratory, molecular laboratory, and we have been working on this, and we also have several electrophysiological gadgets which help us to make a lot of studies, and we have gone on to set up this bioenergy laboratory also, where we are able to measure the aura by using three major equipments called actiograph, GDB and Nadi Tarangini. So using all these, we have been working to demonstrate its effects in the clinical area. Me being a clinician, medical physician, my major area has been to apply these concepts in disease situation. So this is one of our major project which is going on as collaboration with the MD Anderson Medical Center in Houston, USA, which is the largest cancer institute in the world, where we now have completed the two major NIH-funded projects, and we are now almost in the completion of the third RON project. So what we do is we take up breast cancer patients who are undergoing radiation therapy, teach them very simple body movements and take them on to deep understanding and relaxation techniques, pranayama techniques, meditative techniques, and we were able to show that during at the end of radiation therapy and at the end of another follow-up, we were able to show significant improvement in their general health, better physical functioning, better benefit finding, reduction in their intrusive thoughts, and we went on to do randomized control study where we were able to put them into three major groups: yoga group, stretch group, and a control group. And this is the RO1 that is going on now, in which again we are able to see during radiation what is happening to these participants, and this is the physical functioning was much better in the yoga group, although they all started almost at the same level at the beginning. Benefit finding was again better, fatigue was much better in the yoga group. The cortisol level, which is a measure of the degree of stress, showed a better rhythmic variability, which is a sign of better health. So we now are going to come out with this project where we are going to end up with this study where 200 yoga group, 200 stretch group, 200 treatment as usual group, which is going to make a big impact to the cancer society who have to now adopt as a routine in radiation treatment the yoga program. So these are all some cancer studies. Then coming to asthma, our very first publication was in British Medical Journal. अस्थमा में क्या क्या इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है उसके कर्व्स देखते जाइए, परंतु आई वांट टू गिव यू ए वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जांपल. कैसा इस मनोमय कोश में मन का संतुलन लाने के द्वारा कैसा पेशेंट्स अपने आप को संतुलन में लाना, अपना अस्थमा को क्योर करना सीखते हैं, उसका एक एग्जांपल देना चाहती हूँ। हमारे यहाँ एक लेडी हाउसवाइफ, सिंपल टीचर ऑफ ए स्कूल, शी केम, वो अगर क्या योगा आसना सीख के स्पेशल टेक्निक्स सिखाते हैं। अस्थमा के लिए क्या प्रॉब्लम है, यहाँ इन्फ्लेमेशन चल रहा है, वो इन्फ्लेमेशन का मतलब क्या है, यहाँ का वेग उतरकर यहाँ ओवर रिएक्टिव इम्यून सिस्टम के दौरान यहाँ बैठ गया है, उसके दौरान उनका सांस बहुत गहरा फास्ट स्पीड से दौड़ रहा है। इतना सिंपल लैंग्वेज में हमको समझाते हैं। तो उसके दौरान क्या होगा, तो वो समझ गई, वो मेरा ये इतना फास्ट ब्रीदिंग का कारण मेरा मन है ना। ओके, आज रात को मैं जब अटैक आएगा मैं देख लूँगा मेरा मन क्या होगा। तो शी सिट्स देयर इन द मिडल ऑफ द नाइट, woken up, she gets a wheezing attack. Most asthmatics get attack in the middle of the night na, and then she starts wheezing, मन को देखने लगती है। Then she says, hey, I can see my mind, what is it doing? इनहेलर, क्या होगा, अटैक, सांस नहीं चल रहा है, क्या होगा करके मन इतना तेज से दौड़ रहा है, समझ चुकी हूँ। तो अभी मैं इस वेग को डाउन किया तो मेरा अटैक निकल जाना चाहिए। तो व्हाट शी डज, शी सिट्स देयर एंड स्टार्ट्स चैंटिंग ओम। मेडिटेशन यूज करती है। तो मेडिटेशन में ओम ओम ओम, शी एक्सप्लेन्स टू मी आफ्टर दैट, देखिए मैडम आपने जो कहते हैं मैं एक्सपेरिमेंट कर चुकी हूँ, देख लिया मन बहुत तेज से दौड़ रहा है, इनहेलर, सांस नहीं चल रहा है, क्या होगा। मैं यहाँ ओम 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 बोलने के लिए प्रयत्न कर रही हूँ, कुछ नहीं हो रहा था। देन आई गॉट एन आइडिया विच यू हैड एक्सप्लेन्ड इन द ओम मेडिटेशन क्लास। ओम का वेग ऊपर नीचे करते रहो। तो यहाँ क्या है, इनहेलर, ओम 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 ओम, फास्ट चैंट करने लगी। फास्ट चैंट करने के बाद मन वहाँ से यहाँ खींचा गया। देन ओम 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 में पकड़ा गया। इनहेलर से ओम 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 में मेरा मन पकड़ गया। Then I said, okay, now I got the hang on the Om. Now I say Om, Om, Om. तो मेरा छाती को भूल गई, सांस को भूल गई, ओम में पकड़ा गया माइंड। देन ओम 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 करते करते मैं सो गई। सुबह जब उठूंगी अटैक नहीं था, नींद आ गया। कैसे? मन स्लो डाउन करने से। मुझे समझ गया मैडम, मन का वेग ही मेरा सांस का वेग है। So this we incorporate in cardiology also. And we have to incorporate it as randomized, controlled, double-blind studies. So सभी PhD लोगों को दे देते हैं। सुधारानी ये सभी टेस्ट किया, स्किन प्रिक टेस्ट कम हो गया था और उनका IgE लेवल ब्लड में कम हो गया था, पीक फ्लो रेट ब्रीदिंग इम्प्रूव हो गया था। कंट्रोल स्टडी योगा एंड कंट्रोल ग्रुप में क्या फ़र्क है वो दिखने लगा। हमारा बगल में एक नैन हॉस्पिटल है, हार्ट हॉस्पिटल है। वहाँ हर दिन 20 to 30 बाईपास सर्जरीज होता है, बहुत बड़ा नारायण हृदयालय, आपने सुना होगा। तो वहाँ CABG पेशेंट्स को उनका एंग्जाइटी कम करने के लिए योगा सिखाइए करके एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाया। उसमें आयुष फंडेड प्रोजेक्ट था। उसमें हमने क्या देखा, 1 साल के बाद उनका हार्ट कैपेसिटी वाज मच बेटर इन दी योगा ग्रुप इन दोस हु हैड CABG हो गया है। जिनको योगा सिखाया पहला दिन से ऑपरेशन का एडमिट हो गए हैं, ऑपरेशन के लिए एडमिट हो गए हैं, उनको हमने क्या सिखाएंगे, ऑपरेशन कल होने वाला है, ऑपरेशन के बाद उनको हिलना भी नहीं होगा, उनको कैसा हम योग स्थिति में ले जाएंगे, समझ स्थिति में ले जाएंगे, प्रसन्नता में रखेंगे, एंग्जाइटी फ्री रखेंगे। उसके लिए विशेष तरीका का स्पेशल टेक्निक बनाना होता है। उसको रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, उसको दे देते हैं, घर में जाके उसको लगा के सुनते सुनते सांस के ऊपर ध्यान दो, मन को शांत रखो, आकार उकार बोलते बोलते सिंपल बॉडी मूवमेंट्स जितना हो सकता है उतने करते रहो। एक मॉड्यूल बनाया, उसको वैलिडेट किया, बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन से उसका वैलिडेशन ले लिया। इस ढंग से हम मॉड्यूल तैयार करते हैं। तो दिस इज अनदर रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट दैट वी कंडक्ट इन जर्मनी। जर्मनी में हमारा एमडी स्टूडेंट्स और पीएचडी स्टूडेंट्स का एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम है। जर्मनी में एक न्यूरोलॉजिकल रिहैबिलिटेशन सेंटर है। वे कैन यू बिलीव इन जर्मनी जर्मन लैंग्वेज मेंटल disabled patients like this who are wheelchair bound with multiple sclerosis, उस हॉस्पिटल में आप चल रहे हैं, you can hear सहना भवतो सहनौ भुनक्तु, German patients chanting this and chanting Om। इनको इतना अच्छा लगता है वहाँ करते करते। उन्होंने यहाँ आके सभी हॉस्पिटल सभी स्टाफ को इनको यहाँ भेज के योगा में ट्रेनिंग दे चुके हैं। हमारा भी स्टूडेंट्स वहाँ जाके उनको सिखाते हैं। तो दिस वाज अ स्टडी विच वाज कंडक्टेड इन दिस टाइप ऑफ पेशेंट्स एंड वी स्टडीड देयर वन सिंपल प्रोजेक्ट वेयर वी स्टडीड देयर यूरिनरी फ्रीक्वेंसी। MS पेशेंट्स को, मल्टीपल स्क्लेरोसिस पेशेंट्स को बहुत ज़्यादा रात भर फ्रीक्वेंट यूरिनेशन के कारण, लीकिंग के कारण नींद खराब होता था। तो वो भी हमने डेमोन्स्ट्रेट किया through this study. This is the person from Germany who translated many of our techniques. He is himself a multiple sclerosis patient. Post head injury patients, again we get for rehabilitation very beneficial. A person like this who could not walk starts running and running up the stairs. So postmenopausal women, autism, again a very difficult condition where we have been incorporating yoga. बच्चों को आर्टिस्टिक चिल्ड्रन के बारे में आपको पता होगा, इनका आई गेज नहीं रहता है, कंसंट्रेशन कम रहता है, स्टडी में बहुत कम सुविधा रहता है, सिखाना बहुत मुश्किल है, परंतु उसमें इंटेलिजेंस भी होगा परंतु सीख नहीं सकते हैं। इनके कारण है उनका मन इतना तेज है, इतना हाइपर एक्टिव है, इतना रेस्टलेस है, अपने लोक में डूब जाते हैं। तो इनके लिए 2 साल का प्रोजेक्ट, अगेन ए PhD प्रोजेक्ट विथ 3 पब्लिकेशंस, इसमें ये हमने दिखाया है योगा ग्रुप और नॉन योगा ग्रुप में कैसा सिटिंग टॉलरेंस इम्प्रूव हुआ, उनका पोस्चरल चेंजेस कैसा इम्प्रूव हुआ, डेप्थ परसेप्शन एंड बैलेंस इम्प्रूव हुआ। शी इज़ द PhD स्पेशल एजुकेटर हु डिड दिस स्टडी। डायबिटीज़ तो आपने सुन रहे होंगे, डॉक्टर नागेंद्र भी कल बताए होंगे। We started our very first publication as early as 1992 with our collaboration with Royal Free Hospital। वहाँ डॉक्टर दंडोना करके रहे, हम जाके उनसे बताया देखिए हमारा रिजल्ट ऐसा है, आप क्यों यहाँ रिसर्च न करें। नहीं ये कैसा होगा, we are the best of the diabetology unit, we do everything that is possible, in fact we even have facility for ambulance to go to their house and give services। then हम योगा करने में क्या बड़ी बात है। but he remembered, yes, I still have some of my diabetics who do not keep their diabetes under control in spite of the best of the London facility। तो ऐसा participants को आपको देंगे, आप करके दिखाइए। तो we had the most difficult cases who are not being manageable by modern science, and उनका results ये था। बाद में we took up another Ayush funded project where we compared an exercise group with non-exercise group, and that was the difference after 1 year. Yoga was better than exercise in increasing the good cholesterol, reducing the bad cholesterol, and most important, reducing the oral medication. Just like I told the first example where a person could stop his insulin। ना आजकल हमारे यहाँ वही रिक्वेस्ट करके आते हैं, अभी मेरा इंसुलिन शुरू हो गया, मैं बंद करने के लिए यहाँ आना चाहता हूँ। तो with that, let me come to the conclusion where I welcome all of you to promote young people to take up yoga as their profession. We as senior people, we want to do yoga for ourselves, do research in that, establish this as a science so that we promote yoga. And today's present situation, as Dr. Rama has been telling, it has become the need of the hour that we promote integration, we promote holistic approach, we promote things which are on the right direction. In education system, we want to bring the best of the East, Gurukula system of education with the modern system of education, with the best of the technology, and they are all residential students who undergo all this training. To promote this activity, we have taken up a big nationwide movement called Stop Diabetes Movement, where we want to reduce the growing curve of diabetes in the country. And we have started this in 2008, where we inaugurated the program called Stop Diabetes Movement, which went off in the last year as Madhumeha Mukta Bharat Abhiyan during the World Yoga Day, and through that we have been promoting large number of activities. I welcome once again all of you to our campus. We want researchers to work together from all walks of life, and we will be happy to work together with many of the institutions. Dhanyavad.
I think, Madam, you and your institute should prove to be a blessing for our country. Madam, one question, yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I had a query. If you are having some disease, which can it be tracked at the causal body level or at the mental body level and healed at that level itself? Out of the Panchakoshas, maybe the 4th level or the 5th level, so that it will be a preventive sort of arrangement for the physical.
Yeah, that is the whole of the aim of this integrated therapy, where we try to correct the structural abnormality by giving techniques at the body level, in the form of asanas, kriyas, diet, and now we are combining Ayurveda, naturopathy, etc. to remove the physical toxins that are there. Then go to the prana level, breathing level, pranayama. Most important thing is working at the emotions level. Lot of counseling sessions, lot of understanding, lot of interactive techniques. And the most difficult and the most...
Yes, that is what I am interested in knowing about the current sharing. Yes.
Karana is that knowledge base, where the person's concept that happiness is outside, and but how to convert that person from understanding that I am made of the stuff called Ananda. I am made of the stuff from which all my imbalances have come about. This is the spiritual counseling that helps most of these people. Once they recognize that I am blissful, made of the stuff called Ananda, then their fear goes away. That is what we call as the advanced technique called Anams, Ananda Amrita Sinchana, which is very much Vijnana Sadhana Kaushala. These are all advanced techniques that we use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I now invite Professor Shantanu Bhattacharya ji. Shantanu ji is the Director of Indian Association for Cultivation of Science. He still continues to be a professor at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So he has 2 labs, one at Bangalore and another at Calcutta. His area of specialization is chemical biology and nanobiotechnology. He's also done research in anti-cancer. Today, he will address us on the role of spirituality in healthcare. He is a PhD from Rutgers University, New Jersey, USA, postdoctoral from MIT. He is a recipient of various awards, Swarna Jayanti Award, SS Bhatnagar Award, and G.D. Birla Award. He has, and so many other awards. He has published 220 original research papers in international journals. 220 research papers. 32 PhDs were granted under his supervision. 32 PhD. So we have another scholar and stalwart before us to address us on the role of spirituality in healthcare. Shantanu ji.
Thank you very much for your kind words of introduction. I stand in front of you only as a novice because two previous speakers have really enlightened us with the aspect of Ayurveda and yoga. And I think I will be not able to present anything to that level of technical precision. What I would like to do is to tell you my thoughts from past principles. But before I start talking about my thoughts, I must acknowledge the invitation that has been given to me, and in particular Jayantji. I thank all of you for giving me an opportunity to speak in front of you. Health science or medical science is a scientific practice, and science is our quest for discovering the order that manifests in nature. And this is the way we always try to explain science. I think Dr. Ramaji has very nicely talked about the reductionism in science. Yes, that's the trait. We find as a curious mind that nature is very orderly and it follows certain laws which relate to causes and effects. These laws are believed to be independent of space and time. This implies that these laws may be eternal and the same everywhere in the universe. It is the purpose of science to discover these laws and thereby explain the entire development of the universe. However, we have only succeeded to a reasonable extent in explaining several observed phenomena on the basis of these assumptions. A standard model I bring to your attention to is the evolution of the whole universe, which has started from the assumption of a Big Bang theory, which is assumed to have occurred some 13 billion years ago. Many scientists, although not all, accept this model to be more or less true. There are, however, two major gaps in our understanding as it stands today. First of all, we do not know how life originated in the dead universe of the physicists starting from the Big Bang. Scientists have not been able to synthesize in the laboratory a living cell or, for example, a worm or an amoeba starting from chemicals or atoms. Many scientists think that life is an emergent property of matter, but we do not really know. After assuming the creation of the first life form, they do have a reasonable theory of evolution to explain the origin of living species that exist today. However, we do not know what is consciousness. Scientist uses his consciousness to do his science, but his science cannot explain what he is using. To pose this question in a more spectacular way, imagine that a scientist is able to synthesize my body in a chemical laboratory and put every atom in exactly the same place it is at present. Will he get this living person or only his dead body? The answer is, of course, you will not be able to create a life, and only intuition tells us that he will get only the dead body. So what is the difference? What is the difference between a computer and a human being? And this is a question which is being asked in the computer laboratory at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which actually does research on mind lab. Computers have memory, they can think and calculate sometimes faster than we can in many ways. Scientists are even programming computers to respond with feelings, but computer itself is not aware. The awareness is not there. I am aware of my body, my thoughts, and my state of consciousness. Science does not know how awareness arises. What science knows is nearly certain and has been repeatedly tested. So it is unlikely that anything that is anti-science is true. So this is not a conflict between science and spirituality. We need to understand the domains. So there is a lot beyond science. Consensus phenomena like telepathy, extrasensory perception are yet beyond science, but we cannot say that they are unscientific or untrue. Unfortunately, much in the West, religion has come to be regarded as synonymous with belief, and inquiry was suppressed as heresy. In India, there was belief, worship, and ritual, but there has also been a long tradition of inquiry into what is true and what is false, what is real and what is an illusion. So we come to such kind of experience from a long tradition. Our sages pointed out that all sorrow is born out of illusion and can therefore be ended. This liberation from an illusion is the essence of this spiritual quest. If we consider religion to be belief, then it has no scientific basis, since it is personal and not a universal truth. But if we regard the essence of religion to be the ending of illusion, then it is a quest for discovering what is true and what is false. One could also call it unlearning the false through direct perception or insight. A mind that is freed of all illusion perceives what is without any distortion, and therefore its perceptions are as objective and universal as those of science. Now, my learned speaker in the dais have already talked about the World Health Organization ambit of the definition of health. I will also take the same route. Scientists in the past defined health simply as an absence of disease or illness. Now, I think it is defined as wellness. So if you are not physically sick, you are considered healthy. So that, I think, both Jayaji and Nagratnaji elegantly demonstrated that that's not the correct definition of health. So today the term health means more than just our physical health. And there are 6 areas we need to consider when talking about our health. And these 6 components of health involve physical, emotional, social, mental, environmental, and spiritual health. I just touch upon briefly. So wellness, that is the absence of illness, is the quality or state of being healthy in body and mind, especially as a result of deliberate effort. And physical health we all know, and this is how we try to keep ourselves fit. And physical health is everything that has to do with our bodies. It includes personal attention to and maintenance of overall health through nutrition, physical activity, sleep, and positive healthy habits. What effect does physical activity have on our health now and in the future? I think Dr. Nagratnaji very elegantly described our future lies in yoga. Emotional health is the other parameter which we need to keep. Otherwise we have fear, we have stress, we have sickness. Again, Dr. Nagaratna ji has talked about lifestyle diseases and so on and so forth. These are all connected. And emotionally healthy people feel safe and secure with their own emotions and feelings under complete control. They express emotions in positive and non-destructive ways. They are assertive about their needs, and they are able to cope with unpleasant emotions in healthy ways. If you are emotionally healthy, chances are good that you have a healthy self-esteem. Your emotional health can greatly influence all the other areas of your health, so these are all connected. Social health, we all know, participation in a meeting like this, participation in music, in meditation, any kind of mass activity actually brings about special effects which is beneficial. And social effect health refers to the relationship you have in your life with family and friends and the kinds of support that you receive from them. That's very important. Socially healthy people respect others and avoid those who don't treat them with respect and tolerance. There has been numerous studies which is reported from National Institute of Health in Maryland, which suggests that people in isolation actually have much greater level of reactive oxygen species compared to the people who are highly well connected socially and in terms of healthy family relationship. And so that is the reason why socially healthy people respect others and avoid those who don't treat them with respect and tolerance. Mental health, already we heard about it. It relates to trauma, phobia, anxiety, greed, shame, depression, panic, and so on and so forth. And a mentally healthy person is very important for the society. Realizes his or her own abilities, copes with the normal stresses of daily life, works highly productive way, and has fulfilling relationship with others, adapts to changes and copes with adversity. Your mental health can be greatly influenced by your emotional and spiritual health. It may be difficult to see when a person has a mental health issue. Changes in mental health behavior are sometimes attributed to other causes. So environmental health is another parameter we have actually created through the development and urbanization. Environment is actually talks about surroundings, the area where you live and all the things you have contact with, such as air, water, land, etc. And environmental health is the awareness of protecting both the natural and built environments for the benefit of human health. You need to keep your air clean, water clean, food safe, land enjoyable and safe. You should have appropriate recycling program, reduce fossil fuel emission so that you don't create ozone hole up there, so that there is no problem in terms of creating adverse oxygenous atmosphere leading to different type of lesions and disease states. 1 billion people are added to the earth every 12 years. And as we speak every day, 220,000, that is 220,000 people are born. So we are adding to another form of environmental pollution through overpopulation. So that's also have an adversity on health. So what types of problems could arise because of overpopulation, we should know, and we should actually talk about it, talk with our neighbors, and educate everyone around at various levels of the strata. So you can imagine what impact these agencies have on our world. See, various types of industries which are polluting. And environmental health, because of this emission, And this is all the time very real and difficult issues, because these kind of noxious gases, once we inhale, we create unhealthy state, and that leads to different type of physiological disorder. How much do your actions affect our surroundings and our environment? Have you taken some time out to plant a sapling? That's one way for you to fight against the environmental detriment. Now I come to spiritual health. And spiritual health, I think, have been talked about at length. But this is a personal matter involving values and beliefs that provide a purpose for our lives. The basis of spirituality, discovering a sense of meaning in your life, coming to know that you have a purpose to fulfill. And that is where human beings are separated from the animal kingdom. So this is an element which only humans possess. What is spirituality? It is the way you find meaning, hope, comfort, and inner peace in your life. Growing research shows that the things such as positive beliefs, comfort, and strength gained from religion, meditation, and prayer can contribute to significant levels of healing and a great sense of well-being. Spiritual foundations of the humanity is a quest for understanding by the way of our consciousness functions through observations and perceptions which are freed from the subjective elements of our personality. We all have within our consciousness both the personal and universal realms of spirituality. The personal feelings are thought and opinions, since they are based on our memory and knowledge, which in turn are dependent on where we were born and grew up. That is, that influences depending on your family setting and your immediate neighborhood. But pure awareness is not so conditioned and is truly universal. So there is a difference between personal and universal feelings. So spiritual quest is a salvation for discovering reality through awareness, direct perception freed of the subjective inputs from our personality, that is thought and memory. Spiritual health has a bigger impact on your life than most people realize. And this is increasingly understood and recognized all over the world. In your opinion, who ultimately controls your destiny? You ask yourself. Wellness wheel activity. How would you rate your physical, emotional, social, environmental, mental, and spiritual health? That's the key. Is your will balanced? That's the question you should ask. And that drives you whether you are in a state of good health or not. How can you improve the balance of your wellness will? That's what you need to ponder upon every day. If we go back about health, I think nothing other than Sushruta provides a better example. The areas where muscles, vessels, ligaments, bones, and joints meet together are known as the vital spots, marms, which by virtue of their vulnerability to damage are known as the seats of life. An injury to any of these spots may be dangerous to health and life temporarily or permanently. And this is known from Sushruta 200 years before Christ was born. And this is a knowledge that we have inherited. And nothing can be a better example of exposition of health than Sushruta. We can go on by reading Charaka Shamrita, where it talks about how one can keep good health, proportionate musculature. You need to have compactness of body. You need to have strong sensory and motor organs, not overcome by onslaught of diseases, withstands hunger, thirst, heat of sun, cold and physical exertion, digest and assimilate food properly. I think some of these things Dr. Nagaratna talked about in lifestyle diseases, and this is known to us for thousands of years in our own tradition and culture. So science and spirituality are therefore two complementary quests for discovering reality, and there is no contradiction between them. Science is the quest for discovering the order that manifests in the world of space, time and matter and energy, and religion becomes the quest for discovering that order in consciousness through the ending of illusion. All great discoveries, even science, have been the result of such creative insights beyond the known. I can give you one example that is pervading the current media last 3 days about the discovery of the gravitational waves. Einstein predicted this more than a century ago. How did he do it? Because of the concept, that's the intuition. And intuition is something which physical science cannot define. So there are examples which you can sense, but you cannot define in physical terms. You cannot reduce it by the approach of reductionism. So how does the human body discover something totally new which was never known before? The unknown is beyond thought and memory. The human consciousness has this capacity of perceiving something beyond the known by making a foray into the unknown, and such insights have led to great paradigm shifts even in science. This is what distinguishes us from computers, which have no awareness and therefore no capacity for insight. Ramanujan often saw answers to questions in mathematics through equations without knowing the proof. And there is a laboratory in Chicago which actually does research in computer science, which is trying to analyze the work done by Ramanujan. Even the most sophisticated supercomputer today cannot predict some of the proofs that Ramanujan have done. How did he do it? Without deriving the equation, merely through his God-given intuition. So we have to accept there is something which we have to perceive in this fashion. Einstein perceived the truth of relativity before he proved them mathematically. Actually, he got help from none other than our Satyendranath Bose, because he was weak in mathematics. Everybody knows about it. Actually, he could not get into the Polytechnic. He could not get the admission because his mathematics was weak. But that did not prevent him to have the best quality of intuition. And Beethoven said, I do not think out anything out of my music. So how such perceptions come into consciousness is a great mystery. So extrasensory perceptions are very important, since the human consciousness is capable of objective extrasensory perceptions. These have sometimes led to unusual discoveries, which now seem to be corroborated by scientific investigations later on. And some examples I can give you. For example, the age of the universe and earth. If you go to the ancient Hindu scriptures, the age of the universe or earth is divided into yogas, which occur cyclically according to the following scheme. We all know about Satya Yoga or Kritya Yoga, that is Stone Age, and its period. 1.728 million years. Treta Yoga or Bronze Age is 1.296 million years. The Upper Yoga or Golden Age, that is 0.864 million years. And Kali Yoga, which we believe we are in now, that is Iron Age, is 0.432 multiplied by 10 raised to 6 years. And if you add all of them together, it gives you one Mahayoga, that is 4.32 million years. It further says that 1000 such Mahayogas make one Kalpa, which is one day in the life of Brahma, the creator. That's what we believe. And this means one Kalpa is 4.32 multiplied by 10 raised to 9 years. Now look at the present science and the estimate. The value is very close to the present scientific value for the age of the earth, which says it is 4.6, 10 raised to 9 years, and which is not really far from the present scientific value for the age of the universe, which is about 13 multiplied by 10 raised to 9 years. So how did this correspondence come about without going through these steps and rigorous mathematical equations? So we must try to ask ourselves. So how did these ancient sages come to a figure which is at least of the same order of magnitude? Was it a myth or a perception? We must ask. Ayurvedic herbs, I think Dr. Jayaji has talked about. I would not add much to that. How did the ancient sages in India discover the effect of various Ayurvedic herbs and various kinds of natural products that you get through these? Which one will have what kind of activity on the physiological system? So the efficacy of these is now tested scientifically the world over. But our sages did not use any scientific or reductionist approach involving the double-blind experiments that Dr. Nagarathnaji talked about, or trial and error to make these discoveries. So these are again based on their great intuition and great level of consciousness, which we cannot define by physical description of science. Were these based on myth or perception? We should ask this question. I would take you to the quote of Dr. Francis Collins. Dr. Collins is the director of National Human Genome and Health Research Institute of the United States. He says, the work of a scientist in this project, particularly a scientist who has the joy of also being a religious person, is a work of discovery which can also be a form of worship. As a scientist, one of the most exhilarating experiences is to learn something that no human has understood before. To have a chance to see the glory of creation, the intricacy of it, the beauty of it, is really an experience not to be matched. Scientists who do not have a personal faith in God also undoubtedly experience the exhilaration by discovery. But to have that joy of discovery mixed together with the joy of worship is truly a powerful moment for a spiritual who is also a scientist. And this is the feeling, which is an inner feeling of a great scientist. And I think this reverberates all around. In fact, a session of the United Nations Assembly held recently also focused on dealing with non-communicable diseases, as we already heard with the previous speakers, by combating the globalization of unhealthy lifestyles. In fact, the behavioral aspect of an individual influence one's diet, interest in lazy or sedentary lifestyle or active life, and addictions to tobacco, alcohol and other substances. At the same time, an individual's behavior is influenced by the society's value system and the attitudes which people consider as acceptable. These are all, there is a symbiotic relationship between them. So spiritual principles of the world always emphasize on certain cognitive and behavioral set for the individuals in pursuit of health and fulfillment in life. Bringing changes in the cognitive, affective, and behavioral domain is a long and a persistent process, and each individual responds to such changes based on commitment and perception of the need for such changes. And I think there are much thought lately have come about, and health today cannot be conceived as balanced without including the dimension of spirituality. And spirituality and spiritual practices have been shown to have a positive impact on innumerable experiments involving lifestyle diseases. And in fact, I would call your attention to a very good study done by Rahul Bansal and co-workers. Their cross-sectional study on spirituality and health, a knowledge, attitude and practice study among doctors of North India. And they found that 66% have a strong belief in the spiritual dimensions of health, 55% believed in the preventive role of spirituality, 80% believed in the curative role of spirituality, and a similar proportion held the view that spirituality has an important role in day-to-day patient care. About 93% wanted to know more about scientific work being done in this field. And regarding the role of spiritual dimension of health in preventing and curing diseases, 55% of the doctors opine that a spiritual person falls ill infrequently. A large majority, that is 87%, also believe that a spiritual person copes better with illness, and 80% believe that they recover faster. So there is message, and this is important. I think I don't want to take more time, because this book is, you can read this book written by on the spirituality and health. It talks about more effective tradition of health using spirituality. A formal tool called HOPE has been designed for this purpose, and in this acronym H stands for hope, sources of hope, comfort, strength, meaning, peace and love connections. The capital O stands for the role of organized spiritual or religious practices for patients. The capital P stands for personal spirituality and practices, and E stands for the effects of medical care. So spiritual health and its correlation with various lifestyle diseases strongly suggests designing interventions for corrective actions. Again, this American family physician book, this article is of great interest. And I think with time going away, I've just come to the final thought, that the vision for the future, changing landscape of professional spiritual care, developing true integrated practice, mind, body and spirit, leading the disciplines in the field of subtle energetics, thought, intention and compassion in medical staff understood as central energetic intervention. And you can imagine how the poor delivery of bad news affects the outcome. You become nervous. So fusion of ancient and modern practices with high technology and present level of system biology is the order of the day that is required. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, sir, for a highly informative session. I now request Dr. Rajesh Saxena ji, Principal Scientist, MPCST, to present the mementos to the distinguished speakers. Dr. Rama. Dr. Shantanu ji. And the chairperson of today's session, Dr. R. Nagaratna Madam. We are again running short of time. We will have a 10 minutes tea break. Usually in cultural programs we announce the 10 minutes tea break, which will extend to 20 minutes. That should not be the case here. So sincerely, let us stick to 10 minutes and immediately we'll start with the next session. Thank you.